All right, my name is Gene Tilson. I'm a contractor from Nebraska, and I do spray foam and insulation and coatings. And I developed this product with the help of my partner that was a programmer, because I needed something to control absolutely everything was crazy in my life, which was running leads, doing bids, and understanding the profit of what my company was making. And I was spending literally 70, 80 hours a week trying to do that. And I needed something that was duplicatable, that I could give away part of what I was doing, but I didn't feel comfortable giving away part of it because I had no easy way of transferring my knowledge into a duplicatable system. So it started out as a CRM to be able to list all the leads, the sales, and the jobs, and we built on a whole bunch of modules. So the program can be used simply just to track your leads, but you don't get the full power of the program unless you're really starting to put in some of the other numbers, like your cost of jobs, clocking in, which you clock into the jobs, and then at the back end, dumping in the cost of your company. And at any point, you can know exactly how much money you will have made when all your bills are paid and all the jobs are complete. So that's really was the brainchild of the program, is understanding my business in every aspect of cost. And then as you grow your business, it becomes more and more difficult for that. And I was stuck at about $1.5 million with the business, and I just couldn't get over that. And I remember that I had a really good year. We went from 1.5 to 1.8, and I lost more money that year than the year before. So that's why this thing was brought, because all the hours I was putting in and to make money. And so those last couple of years in the Midwest, the corn and the soybean price has been going down, and some of my business has been drying up. But because of this program, I could go and look at where my costs were at, and I had the exact same business, net or gross business, and I made more money, about another $200,000 more dollars because of this. And I think my employees like it because it's more transparent. I went to a lot of different trade shows, and one thing that people want is transparency. So they get to see the bid, they get to see the numbers, they can see the pictures, it has an incentive program in here if you want to use it, which gives them money back from work that they've done. Like if they go out and save me labor, I can pay that labor back to them in an incentive program. So they like it from that standpoint. They can understand the bid, they can understand the writing. My clients understand it because it has a link I can send to them, and they know how long we're going to be starting their job, and when we start it, how long we're going to be completing the job. And so they like it, and then pictures can show up there, and they can see the job through the picture process. And my office staff likes it because they can look back and see what my crews are doing. You know, who's clocked into what's got done, who's emailed something out to somebody, and they like it because they have more information at their fingertips, so they're not acting like they don't know what the company's doing, and it makes us look really professional when everybody can kind of look at what everybody else is doing a little bit. And the sales staff likes it because not everybody can see their sales. You know, once it enters to the sales SKU, they can only see that unless you have administrator control. So they like it that not everybody's seeing their sales or their bids as they're doing them too. The program has a username and login. So when you log in with a username and your password, which you can change if you feel that somebody that's been compromised, I can set up what they see. So as an owner, I can see, I can make you see what I want you to see. So like you just start working, well, you need to see SDS sheets. Well, that's on here. If you take a test, like I have a test that I can administer through the program, you can go back and look at your test. You have the ability to let people see whatever you want them to see, and that's nice from a standpoint that if I don't want my crews to see cost, they don't see the cost of the product, they're seeing quantity. Maybe the only thing it says on here from a salesman standpoint, from a bid standpoint, one of the hardest things for me is to make a program in which I knew that my salesman could bid something and I knew it was accurate, and it was a number that I was okay with. So on the back end of this, you spend some time determining what you I call the smart bid process. So how much your labor is going to be, how much your profit should be, and I have a tutorial on my site that steps you through of what a true labor cost is and what your true overhead is. So on mine, before, I used the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 method, 1/3 being material, 1/3 being labor, and 1/3 being profit. That's not true as a company grows. So you might have more overhead. As I grew, like I was saying, from 1.5 to 1.8 to 2 million to 2.5 to 3.3 million dollars of business, my overhead grew. So I needed to charge more. So the program and the bid program looks at all that. So my salesman knows that they could lower what I call my profit, what take home the mama, what I use to grow my business. They can only lower that number. They can't lower the overhead, because if they lower the overhead number, then we're not paying our bills. And so from a bid standpoint, I like that, because I'm sure that what my salesmen are throwing out as number is a number I've already pre-thought of. They don't have to come with me for a whole bunch of bids. Part of the program tries to have everything that I did. So I didn't want to have a manual for SDS, because every time that a vendor changes a little bit, all of a sudden they send out a new document. Well, then I had to track down all my crews and give them that document and print off the cup sheet. And then every year it was a constant battle to keep the SDS sheets up. So I created a part on the system where as an SDS sheet changes, I just go in and delete it and add the new one. So automatically on the guy's smartphone or his tablet, he can pull up and download that if he wants it. And so going down the road, if the guy's going, I wonder what's in this stuff, he can pull up on his phone and take a look at it. And it's also, you can load your OSHA documents, your fall protection or your respiratory part, you can load it on there. So your employees or anybody you're doing business with, if you have to show that information, you got it. I did a bid for a Fortune 500 company, and they wanted to know everything, competency from testing, if my guys had that, if they had the SDS sheets, and certifications, air barrier certification or a certification through SPFA. They just want to know all that stuff. And so basically in about 30 minutes, I put together the whole crew that was going to be there, about 5 of them, and shipped it off to them. It took him about 3 days to go through everything I shipped him, then says, nope, you got everything, I don't need anything from you. And before, if that would have happened, in my old world, if I'm being honest, I would have been going to the shop, to the guys, and saying, okay, here's a test, you got to take this, and we're going to backdate it, right? Because we did this beginning of the year. That ladder stuff that we've been supposed to be doing, we've lost it. We don't want to kill anybody, but we don't have it. So now we're going to create all that stuff so we can get this job. With this, it's already done. They do it it reminds them, if like a ladder spec should be done or an IWARS, it pops up and reminds them that they're supposed to do it. So that way it always gets done, and I track it. I don't have to find people and get it done. We just added, I don't know how many people have IFA trucks, but you go across state lines, you're supposed to get a fuel permit when you do that. Well, we just added that on the system because, receipts get lost and paper gets lost and it doesn't get back, or I can't read somebody's handwriting. Well, that just got added. So, at these shows, people come by and they give us new ideas and we just build it into the system. So it really does everything it does, and if it doesn't, it makes sense, we'll add it. And it does QuickBooks integration. A couple gals came by here the other day and they loved that. That's what their life is numbers and receipts and stuff like that. So it integrates with QuickBooks too for invoice. You can do invoicing on it, or you can do invoices in QuickBooks and import it into it. Basically, you can get a hold of us at Gene at OpRover or Michael at OpRover.com. You can call my 800 number, but don't be surprised if somebody answers it, Tillotson Enterprise or Tillotson Roofing, It's 800-643-5731. Because we're kind of running both businesses out of the same phone number.
Email's the best, but we have a contact form on our website, and like you said, a phone number. That's really all there is to it to get a hold of us. We're pretty responsive in that aspect. If you email me outside of the hours of probably between like midnight and 6 a.m., you're probably going to get a response within an hour.
OpRover.com has a lot of tutorials in it, and honestly what most people do is they get started with us. We give them like an hour's worth of presentation. They watch our videos, and honestly we don't usually hear much from people. It was built by the industry, people working the industry, not a programmer.
Yeah.
But we told people where to put the buttons that make sense.
Yeah, so it just kind of makes sense. I'll go years without getting a support question or anything from a customer. They go watch a tutorial, and that's it. The tutorials, the system's easy enough to use.
I think 7, 8 years ago, we had one training with my employees, and since then we very rarely even have any training. Buttons just appear and they just know how to use it. This is the computer generation. People understand what send means, or cancel, or a copy, and they just read the things and know what they do. So it's pretty user-friendly.
It's intuitive because they're using it and they say, God, it would be nice if we had a button here to do this. So then I build it. And we do the same for our customers. If they call and say, it'd be really nice if it did this, and I said, that's a good idea, we'll build it.
So we're here with Gene and Mike from OpRover, and just kind of responding to something that came up in the group with software and bid tracking and job tracking, labor tracking, stuff like that. And I got to be honest, when I first walked by their booth, I kind of thought this was like another Big Brother software, but once they really started getting into what the software can do, like track your bids and your profit, but also be able to bring up safety data sheets and manuals, remind you about your ladder inspections and things like that. It really is a powerful software that I thought was important to bring to the group, so we did. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. All right, no problem. All right, that's it. That's a wrap.